kicking up dust on a rick house floor. Charred oak whispers we can't ignore. Stories in the mash, fire in the grain. Raise up your glass, feel that bourbon flame. We're the bourbon legends, let the spirit flow. From the backwoods stills to tonight's big show. Every drop a story, every sip that's drowned. We're bourbon legends, let's throw it down. Let's throw it down. From Kentucky hills to the neon lights, we're talking small batch days and whiskey nights. Tasting the past in every pour, gonna carve our names on the distiller's door. We're the bourbon legends, let the spirit flow. From the backwoods stills to tonight's big show. Every drop a story, every sip that's drowned. We're bourbon legends, let's throw it down. Let's throw it down. Raise 'em high, feel the fire. Clinking glasses, lifting higher. One more toast to the ones before and the legends we're making forevermore. We're the bourbon legends, let the spirit flow. From the rick house walls to your front row. Every drop a story, every sip a crown. We're bourbon legends, come gather round. Come gather round. Come gather round.
I have no idea why I'm on here.
Well, we're just bringing you on because you're surprised. You weren't supposed to be here. Surprise, surprise,
Goodness,
surprise.
surprise.
It's a Santa surprise.
It's a Santa surprise tonight.
Well, what's
Well-
going on, folks?
We were supposed to get some bad weather through here today.
Oh yeah.
It didn't rain. It blew a little wind and showed a little cloud, and that was it. Nothing.
I think
all
it's on
show,
its
no
way
go.
tomorrow. It's going to be here tomorrow, Roger.
I'm down in the lovely land of Louisiana. I'm at Lake Charles, in Lake Charles. And let me tell you, it's warm here as well as it is back home in Arkansas, but the humidity, man, I'm telling you, the humidity is back.
Oh, yeah, you got it there.
And according to my friend Kane here, where we're visiting, he's like, it never left. What do you mean it's back? It's never left. But we're going over on, we're going to go do a little hunting tomorrow over in Lafayette. We're going to eat some boudin, some cracklins. And then Saturday, we're heading over to Beaumont where we have the big Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival. And I do know for a fact that Jonathan Maciano from K-Luke will be there. And I messaged our buddy, Mike Frugier, and he's going to be there. So we're going to get
Nice.
this. I'm going to shoot a little content and hopefully fish for some guests in the future here for the Thursday Night Live. So that's what my plans are this week.
Well, my plans are I had a good couple of days hunting some new bottles up. I found you a nice bottle this week, which was good. And Will's on the mend. He's feeling better, right?
Yeah, I've been sick. Started kind of got a cold over the weekend, and so I've been hammering vitamin C and getting a lot of rest. But I feel a whole lot better now.
That's good.
I think a lot of people have been. That's the problem. So
yeah, the bug is going around for sure.
Well, folks, I want you to stay in. We're going to do some news. real quickly, and then after we get done with the news, we'll be on with our guest, Colonel Steve Akley, and he'll be on here in about a few minutes. But we want you to go through a couple of these news articles about some upcoming things that are coming out, and then we'll be on to our guest.
So I have a question. Is Colonel Steve, is that a title like the Kentucky Fried Colonel? Oh,
You're gonna
I don't
have
want to spoil it. Okay.
that's your first question. There you go. So you've got your
Sorry,
question.
guys. I didn't know. I wasn't supposed to be on here tonight. So, all right.
So all right. So we're gonna send you backstage, Craig, and we're gonna. Here we go. We're gonna do this real quick, me and you.
All right.
This is our guest coming up. This is we've got the master distiller for Augusta Buckners are going to be on soon, and they do have a new cast strength bourbon 13-year single barrel that's coming out. From what I understand, there's also another one coming out that's like 25 years, but no one will ever see that. But we might get lucky and find one of these bottles.
I mean, you might. I know a lot of people in the group are real excited about Buckners and have picked up quite a few of them here recently. So,
yeah,
that's
and next week I'm sure we're
things.
going to get more information about Buckners because we have the master distiller coming on. So,
Yep.
It'll
Excited.
be fun. Guys in the chat, let us know if you're going to be out hunting this bottle up. I have a feeling you are. It's just
I'm sure they are.
It's part of the game. And I
Mhm.
think the next one we've got is from Buffalo Trace, and it's part of their experimental collection. Again,
So that's it. Interesting. Low entry proof wheated bourbon.
yeah,
So entry proof of 114, but it's 15 years old. So that would be pretty interesting, I bet.
yeah, and I think that goes back to whenever the current master distiller started, or sometime around there. So 107.8 proof whenever it was bottled. So again, how easy that will be to find, I don't know. Anybody that goes up to the distillery or that way or Kentucky, it might be a Kentucky only product, but I know a lot of guys want to hear about these things, especially if it's a Buffalo Trace product, because they're releasing a lot of it at the distillery now. So
They
you
are.
go there on Wednesdays, you can get a Weller antique bottle. So
Yeah. So there's a good chance if you go to Buffalo Trace Distillery, you might pick this up.
yeah, let's see if Craig has any thoughts on this. I caught him midstream. See that? I caught him mid drink. So, what do you think about this Buffalo Trace experimental?
Sorry. I was sitting here having a side conversation with my buddy Kane. Say hi, Kane.
Hey, Kane.
Hello. We're drinking Old Cassidy right now. So, what do I think about this Buffalo Trace? I think this is a gimmick, Roger. I think it's just a Weller product that they're putting out as an experimental collection. It's a low proof entry point, and I think that's just the mastery of deception by Buffalo Trace. I mean,
Okay. I might have to agree with you, my friend. I might have to agree with you, but I don't think we'll ever see it, so I'm not worried about it. But it's kind of
I think
interesting.
we will see it. I don't think we'll see it widely distributed. Like, we probably won't see it in Arkansas. I think you're going to see this thing dropped quite a bit at the distillery, right there along with 107. The other day they dropped CYPB. So there's no surprises anymore in this bourbon industry. There's a lot of supply out there, and there's not near the demand. We're going to see these items more often. Like I said, it may not be widely distributed. It will be out at the distillery, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, anyway.
So the next one we got, and this is one that's had a little bit of a tough background to them. Templeton Distillery up in Iowa. They've had a couple of different things where they weren't real out front with what they had, what they were using for distillant and bourbon, and they do a lot of ryes. It's still fairly popular. Um, Again, it's looks like that's going to be a 95.5 rye, which is
And the thing about this one is, you see it says now distilling our own. So, now they're trying to hang their hat on something that this is our own product and you need to come back and try it.
I think that's fair. I mean, they've had some interesting cast finishes in the last couple of years. They've released everything that you could finish in bubblegum jars to, everything. They've served all that. So now it's kind of nice. Maybe they're getting back just to the whiskey, a single barrel rye at cast strength. I couldn't 118.4 on a rye. If it shows up and I'm able to see it, I think we might try it.
I think I might try anything. Oh, speaking of trying, a lot of people were looking for I'm looking for a certain bottle for a lot of people. But something I came across tonight, Roger, you may be interested in, is I do believe I saw a Sazerac 125 down here.
Yeah, that would definitely be on my list. I would love to try that just because the 90s doesn't carry it. The 125, from what everybody says, is a little bit nice proof to it. So if you do see that,
I got you down. I'm really more excited, other than this Templeton here, is what the next slide you're going to bring up with Will. This is what I'm interested in, and we'll bring Will in, and I'll leave.
Okay, you got it.
Hey,
all right, Will,
I'm
how are
back.
you? You're
I'm
back.
doing well. I'm back.
So this is something we know of. We were there when they were talking about this. And maybe we shouldn't have heard about it at the time. And our tour guide maybe gave us a little more information than what was released at the time. But
that's what happens for the Bourbon Legends, though. We get that inside information. So.
Well, and we were nice to the distillery cat too, so that helped.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
the cat liked us, so
you got to pet Cooper. You got to, keep the cat happy. Yeah, you're good.
We had a blast there. That was such a good tour. But she mentioned that this all single barrel experiences and new cast drinks, and it's going to be a permanent lineup release. I really like that. I enjoy that. You never know what other products. There are a lot of other products that are made with Wilderness Trail distillate. And there's always theories on who it is, but there's NDAs to protect it. But I really like what they do there. I enjoyed the process. I love the history behind it. Plus the two gentlemen that kind of originally had it are very much involved still, and they also have a company called Firm Solutions, which is their main game. And they sold this to get extra capital. Part of it they sold so they get extra capital to build it and make it bigger and stronger. So this is one I'm definitely looking forward to. I don't know about you, Will, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm a little less excited about this. When we were there, I tried a lot of their different products while we were in the gift shop sampling area. And it's good, but the rye is what I like the most out of their products. But I would be interested in giving the cast strength products a try for sure.
Well, I'll get them and we'll do it. All right. Well, our next one and last one, this kind of matches up with your hat.
Oh yeah.
These are the new barrel proofs that are coming out from Elijah Craig, Larceny, and Penelope Havana. That'll be starting the beginning of the year. Now, these I kind of expect to see a little more released. Interesting on the new Elijah Craig is 131.4 proof, which is getting back up to that proof level that some people have voted for.
Yeah.
And what is that Larceny there? I can barely read it.
Looks like 127.8. So that's a pretty respectable proof too, and I enjoy Larceny quite a bit. Honestly, I haven't chased every single release of these. I know you've got a lot of the Elijah Craigs and probably quite a few Larcenies too, but all of them I've had have been pretty good, but it just gets to the point where there's so many, it's difficult to chase them all.
Oh yeah.
But that Penelope Havana being a cask strength is pretty interesting. Penelope hasn't released anything that's as far as their, different offerings. It's just been basically a barrel strength, but it wasn't like the Havana or the Rio or anything like that. It was none of the special finishes in a barrel proof. So that might be interesting for the people that like those special finishes that Penelope does.
All right. Well, I think it's about time that we get to our guest here. Let me do something here real quick. And
Hey, Roger. There we go.
there we go.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I was
Good.
wondering
Well,
what,
I had to get
I was
everybody
wondering
on the
what
screen.
Roger was doing there. We got two people running the board now tonight. So I brought Steve. I brought you in, Steve, and then Roger kicked you out or tried to
Okay,
bring
yeah.
you. I don't know.
Well,
We've
welcome,
all been
Steve.
drinking.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate you guys having me on. So
No, it's good. I've mentioned to these guys before. I was originally from St. Louis, and I remember when your store, ABV Barrel Shop, first opened in St. Louis, and it was a different concept. And I'll let you talk about it. But it was kind of refreshing to have something different within the market that just wasn't the typical, another new store that opened that said that you can get allocations. You guys took a different path to it. So,
yeah,
you want to, I wanted to lead off with, I didn't put your name on there correctly on the intro, but it's Colonel Steve Akley, and that'll answer Craig's first question.
yes, yeah. I'm a colonel like Colonel Sanders or Colonel Blanton or Colonel Jim Beam. I am a Kentucky colonel, so not anything to do with any military affiliation. It's the top recognition you can get in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and you have to meet some qualifications. And I had mentioned on a show one time, it was something I always wanted to get. And the next thing you know, somebody reached out to me and said, I can help you out with that. So, yeah. So
That's cool. So you don't even have to be a Kentuckian to be a colonel, huh?
You do not. No. It's open to anybody. So, yeah. So there's a lot of people that aren't from there. There's even like chapters like in Missouri and stuff like that of Kentucky colonels. So it's kind of a cool thing.
Interesting.
I don't think Colonel the Bourbon Santa has a good ring to it.
No. I think we're safe, and we're going to leave you there with that. So, so Steve, the one thing I've always wanted to know, how far back do you go in the whiskey and bourbon industry? Because I know when you opened the store, but I can assume you were farther back than that.
Yeah. Oh, of course. The store is like the newest thing that I'm doing. So, I mean, as far as a bourbon fan, my whole life. I mean, I grew up in a bourbon household, so I never went through a phase where I was a beer drinker, and I will enjoy an occasional beer, but I have always been a bourbon fan. So that's what I drank, and in the first start dipping my toe in the world of bourbon, I wrote a book in 2013. So my father passed away in 2012. And I decided I always wanted to be an author, and you know what? You just got to do it at some point, right? That's the only way you're going to achieve any dream. You can't sit there and say, because my dad, unfortunately, he had a heart attack, and I had lunch with him that day, and everything seemed fine. And then that evening, he has a heart attack and passes away. And I just decided, hey, this is something I always wanted to do. I need to do it because you just never know. So I wrote a book in 2013. Was my first thing I ever did in the world of bourbon. It was called Small Brand America. It was about craft distilleries. I didn't want to write a book of Jim Beam and all that. Those stories have been told. So I wrote a book about craft distilleries, and I'm friends with several of those distilleries today. Not all of them made it, by the way. Yeah, there's at least 2 or 3 or 4 that I keep in contact with. So, yeah,
And that happens with the craft world, as we know. We've
yeah,
all seen the ones that have come and have gone, and
hmm
it really takes a lot from an individual or a couple of people within one of those to keep it going.
yeah,
That having that light and that fire, but because there's not a lot of money. It's not a billion-dollar business or anything like that.
yeah,
You get with some of these other bigger distilleries.
yeah.
Um,
Maybe I missed it. Did you mention the name of the book and I missed it?
Yeah, it's called Small Brand America, the
Okay.
Bourbon Edition. I started writing a series called Small Brand America. Again, just being an independent author, I didn't have a label or anything like that. I just wrote
Mhm.
myself and self-published everything. But I started out writing about grocery because had been in the grocery business early in my career, and I thought it's always fascinating to me that there can be a mustard company sitting next to these nationwide brands like a French's mustard. How do they make it? How
Mhm.
how can they be on the shelves and stuff like that? They don't have any advertising campaigns. And so I started writing about small grocery brands at first, and I would always, like I said, like bourbon. And I thought I'm going to write about that, and it wasn't very successful or anything like that. But a couple years later, I would write one called Bourbon Mixology, and the idea was a simple one. I just called bourbon bars, the iconic bourbon bars. I probably had 75 starting out and 50 of them. And when I thought 50 is a good amount for a book, 50 of them agreed to submit me their signature bourbon cocktail. So
Oh,
that
nice.
ended up being a big success. So in 2015, it was the number 2 ranked bourbon book. Really, the number 2 ranked. If you search bourbon on Amazon in 2015 at Christmas time, my book was the second thing that came up. So that changes everything for me. It changed my whole
Oh, yeah.
where I wanted to be in the bourbon business after.
Steve, I've put both links to both books from Amazon on our chat right now, so maybe you'll
Thank
get
you.
a few more sales.
I
So.
appreciate that. I
Yeah,
appreciate
my commission's only like 10%. So
that.
that's one thing that Steve and I actually have in common. I actually am an author as well. I wrote a children's book for Santa Claus. Actually, I've actually written more than one, but only one has been published. So
Yeah, I actually wrote some children books too. So we had a cat named Leo, and I wrote because he was always interested when he ever have a cup of coffee. He started to stick his head in there. So I wrote a series. It was like 3 books about Leo the coffee drinking cat. So yeah, I was kind
Nice.
of searching for what to do as an author. I was because I didn't have any restrictions. I could write as much as I want. I published probably 40 books in like 3 years or something like that. Some novels, some uh, kind of historical stuff, some just fun short stories, all kinds of stuff. So,
and just think about it. Now you could go in and ask Chat GTP to write a story about Leo the coffee drinking cat, and it would spit it out in 30 seconds.
yeah,
Crazy how that works.
yeah, for sure.
but it wouldn't have the same heart to it. That's what as I've said,
True.
Yeah.
This is true.
and the one thing I'll tell you is, Steve, we are very much into the craft, into distilleries as well. That's what we tend to lead to have more of our guests on. I think we might have a guest next week that's a little bit larger, but still I consider it a craft distillery because they're getting started again and starting up. But we've had quite a few on the show, and it's fun. It's enjoyable to meet and talk to these guys because we were talking with Mike Fruget last week, and he was doing the process of making his first rice whiskey, and he didn't know he wasn't doing it. He wasn't supposed to have this happen, but he just kept doing it.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I love it because if you don't know the rules, sometimes magical things can happen. And
exactly.
you get something that's totally different, and everybody else would have said, "Oh, stop! Don't do that," and he's just kept going, and it worked. And so that's what makes it fun. I mean, those are the things that make the whole
Mhm.
process fun. But we've talked about ABV Barrel Shop, and I'm going to let you talk about it a little bit because I know that's near and dear to your heart now,
hmm
and you're in there a lot.
Yes.
So when did you originally started it with another gentleman
Yes.
who I remember very well, and
hmm
both of you guys were awesome together because he was the yin and the yang when you
We
were in the
definitely had
store.
that kind of a relationship, bouncing stuff off each other, giving each other trouble. We were just friends. I mean, that's the what is more sad about that story than anything. The fact that we were just a couple of buddies that started that. That's, something we could do together, and, unfortunately he passed away in May of 2024. And, now to me, it's another one of those moments like when my father died, is there's kind of, you learn some things and it changes you from that point forward. And that was certainly one of those things where I was like, this store has to be a success. It has to keep going. I want to make it a legacy store that lasts forever. I love the idea of long after I'm gone, someone's going to be running the ABV Barrel Shop. And I just think that's good. And as long as that happens, the story of Jim Fosnot and myself, it stays alive. People will talk about us. We were the ones that started this thing. So something totally unique to the liquor industry. Never been done before or since. So
for the people who don't know that they've got, we have put their website out there, and there's a nice explanation on there. It talks about the history of it, those type things. But if I missay something, correct me. But
sure.
The whole idea behind it was to not just necessarily get picks from the major distillers. It was to get to these small craft distilleries and get some single barrel picks that were unique blends or unique barrels that you guys would pick out and sell within the store. And there was a lot of brands that I'd never heard of. And I'd been in bourbon and worked at a couple of shops and things like that. And while I was working for the bank, and I worked with a couple of others, you brought in names that I'd never heard of. And it was kind of neat, and it was in local ones, focus a lot on the local crowd that was down there. You still talk about my friends. Now it was Stumpy's. Now it's Old Monroe Distilling.
Right.
Because he didn't want to be considered a boot. What is it?
Moonshine and all that kind of
Moonshiner,
stuff.
yeah, it'd be all moonshine. And so, is there any right now that you can think of that were some that you got back when you first opened the store that you still get barrels from right now?
Oh yeah, basically all of them. So my store is very unique. I started a podcast, two of them actually in 2016. They're still on the air today. And the Bourbon Show and the Bourbon Daily, and they've been very successful. And over time, as you're doing those things, as your audience grows, they can see the benefit of coming on your show and making an appearance, and there's sales spike up, and people come in and say, "Hey, I heard you on the Bourbon Show or the Bourbon Daily." So ultimately, what happens is you get some really good friends. They like you because I'm not charging them to come on the show or anything like that. It's free. I also started making movies, so I've got like 8 documentaries that are out there, and it featured again all the distilleries that I like are in these documentaries that I do that again focuses on the world of craft. Not that I like heritage brands and I like the big whiskey companies. It's just like those stories get told though. They tell a lot of it themselves, so they don't need me. They don't and I'll have them on the shows and stuff like that. But the small guys are the ones that need you. So that's what we focused on. And, we came up with this idea of let's have a shop where people can buy these things because, we'll have to figure out how to do the distribution thing because it's a 3-tier system in Missouri, like most states. And we had to figure that out. But once we kind of broke through on that, it was easy. We're the only place, and it's hard to replicate. I mean, someone can be like, I think I'm going to open up a single barrel store. It's working well for Steve. You got to know the people. They're not going to sell you a barrel. They don't know who you are. What's good about us is we allow people to try before you buy. We tell their stories because again, I know all the companies that are in there. I'm not just randomly buying barrels. I know the people. I've been to their place. I've met them. I see how they make whiskey. I know what's different about them, why it's better. I do all those things, and over time, if you do this long enough, you can have a pretty good feel for who's going to be successful in this business and who's not. So, so I just focus on the good ones. I don't talk about the bad ones. I never bash anybody. That's not my thing. I figured those problems will take care of themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always been the thing I've noticed with you, that it's always positive. Every time I came in there, it's always, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried this?
Right.
And it's never a conversation about, what's going on with this or with that. You had one of my, I believe, is Art of the Spirit. Is that, am I saying that right?
We do a lot with Art of the Spirits. It's probably our number 2 or number 3 brand in the store in terms of the amount that we buy from them.
And whenever you first had that, I had never heard of that brand before, and it got me looking into it and doing it. And it was just interesting. It was, that was
Yeah.
part of the fun with it.
It's about the
So,
stories, you know. He was a guy who sold art for a couple of famous artists, people that the official artists of Harley Davidson. And when he got married and started having children, his wife was like, "You can't be gone every weekend somewhere in the U.S. selling artwork. You got to be home and be here for your kids." So he told them he was going to leave them and start his own company. They're like, "Well, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm going to start a whiskey company. I know somebody that can sell me some barrels and help me with blending, and I'm going to do that." And they're like, "Well, who's doing your labels?" And he was like, "I don't know, graphic artist, I don't know." So they started doing original paintings that turned into his label. So hence the name Art of the Spirit. So it's cool. It's a great
yeah,
story.
it's
Nice.
there's some beautiful bottles.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but so we've talked about a lot of the different things that are going on with your store and how you get people to come in and bring their products in, those type things. But one of the things we've all heard and we've talked about, and I think recently with you've had a few YouTube shorts that you put out there, which I
Mhm.
found very interesting, is talking about the state of the industry as we go right now. And I think I agree with you. There was so many people whenever Jim Beam released this little small brief that didn't say half of what's being said around the
Right.
world. It was like somebody got it, looked at it, and said, "Oh, what they really meant was," and I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." And so, yeah,
Again, and I've been doing research on this topic and all that. And I found out that someone was getting ready to break the story on them. They didn't have they weren't ready to make the announcement, but to be ahead of them, they just released a statement that just says, "Hey, we're shutting down for a year, and no one's getting laid off," and that's basically about it. It wasn't really any content there, so it leaves it open to interpretation. Everybody just assumes it's terrible. It's the worst news ever. And then they start putting together. It's because everyone's losing. All these distilleries are going bankrupt, and Canada with the tariffs and all this stuff. And in reality, if you look at it, there's none of those that really stand up. And the most telling thing is, number one, no layoffs. What happens to those jobs? Well, the thing is, they're actually retooling and redoing a 50-plus-year-old distillery. And again, I know it's an offshoot because business is down. They probably, if things were going great, they'd just keep going. But they also aren't just saying, "Hey, we're just taking a year off." They're retooling things and getting ready for the future. And they apparently think the future's bright enough. They're going to redo that whole distillery, which cannot be cheap. That's got to be tens
Oh
of
yeah.
dollars. I mean, these are crazy numbers they talk about when they do it.
well, they were talking $1 billion. It'll be
Yeah, yeah.
it'll be $1
So
billion to put it up. But
no one's going to
we
throw
Yeah,
$1
were,
billion into something they think is dying, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's where you got to get past the headline. Like a guy I used to work with, he would read the headline and tell you a story, but he's never read the article. And you
Right.
get down reading that article, and they tell you, "Oh yeah, we're retooling, the whole line." So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a reason behind it other than just gloom and doom.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Because I know when we went recently in the fall, we went on a tour, and we went to you look at Bardstown Bourbon Company, you look at the new Heaven Hill Distillery. There is so much computerization that goes into that process and all the ways of
Mhm.
monitoring the equipment. And I know that people say, "Oh, computers don't make better bourbon." I said, "No, but they make it safer." To be honest, I
Mhm.
mean, whenever something's about ready to fail, it's going to happen. A 50-year-old still, it just goes down, and then
Right.
and you're like, oh, and you're fortunate if you have somebody that still works at the company who can retool the parts to fix it.
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
And
because I remember,
other thing is, it's not like Jim Beam completely quit distilling
Correct.
bourbon, mashes, period. It was just this one facility,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
rolling at
That's
the other
and it's
two.
not even their biggest distillery. All the articles say main distillery, and the reason Beam would refer to it as their main is because that's where people know and that's where they come to. It's where their restaurant is, their visitor center, all
yeah,
that stuff. But in reality, their main distillery is actually the Booker No plant, 10 miles down the road. That's
Mm-hmm.
where a bulk of their bourbon's actually made, over 2 times what they're doing in Claremont. So
right. And it wasn't set up for tours because of where it is, and it
yeah.
doesn't have that accessible. Claremont is like right off the interstate,
Yep.
and it's like
Yeah.
it works out perfect. But again, we've been there numerous times, and I know that when we were doing tours a couple of times, are you running anything? Well, no, they're having a problem today. They've taken it down for a day or two.
Yeah,
You know, and it's a 50-year-old still. At some
right.
point, you got to do that. I mean, I remember when Stumpy's or Old Monroe Distilling, when he first got his column still that he got out of, I believe it was Austria or something like that,
Belgium, yeah, yeah,
Belgium, wherever. He brings it over, and it's in all these little pieces and
yeah.
inside of this. And I'm looking
He
at it
put
I'm
all that
like,
together and then
I
computerized it.
know
That guy's a genius.
he is a genius. He was crazy, but it's like, but I remember how long it took him.
Oh
It
yeah,
wasn't an overnight thing,
no,
and so that's the key with a lot of this is people think you know, that you could go, oh, we'll just slap some insulation up, put a couple of knobs up
right.
there. I'm like, no, this is a copper, you know, still that's got 50 years on it. And Will knows a little bit because he's maintenance engineer with a gas-fired plant down here as well as
Yeah, he's probably seen all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
Couple of hydros, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Got a
hydroelectric
couple of hydro
plants
units, yeah.
that are
100,
older than
100-year-old
them by two
equipment.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of all this old equipment and whatnot and everything, I have a question for you, Steve. What changes do you see for the whiskey bourbon industry coming up in the next few years?
I think we're starting to see what's going to come up, right now. I do think that there will be some consolidation and things like that, but I don't think it's large scale, wave after wave of distilleries going out of business. I think that that's going to happen in some cases, but I think one of the things we're a trend is, we used to have Sazerac 90 proof, and then we have the BTAC Sazerac, and that's it. And now we have a Sazerac 100 proof and a full proof, 125 proof.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have an Eagle Rare 10, and then the BTAC one, and now we have an Eagle Rare 12. I think they're going to get creative and come up with different ways that are going to make sure that because they've made more whiskey than they've needed, at least because they're putting projections. If we think about the whiskey that's coming out now. And we always think about American bourbon and stuff like that. And if we go and ask everybody, what's the average age of bourbon that's out there? I bet you most people would say 8 to 10 years. In reality, that number is 4 to 6 years. That is the average age of bourbon when you're doing it by volume. Now, I know there's exceptions to that, and you could say, well, this brand does. I get it, but when you're looking at overall volume, it's 4 to 6 year old bourbon is the age. So if you look at now, and that's going to be where the volume's at. When were they planning 4 to 6 years ago? What was going on? COVID. Again, things were going crazy. So that you make your projections on at a time when people were stuck at home. They were looking for things to do. They had to entertain themselves. They couldn't go out to their favorite places. They were buying more whiskey. So those projections end up getting all screwed up. And we're just getting a little cause and effect going on right now with that. I don't think it's a bad time of bourbon. I think things are going to be fine. I think things are going to stabilize. I go down to Whiskey Row. It's as busy as it ever has been. People are out there traveling and enjoying bourbon like they have.
One of the things that I've seen in this industry, and you've been in it a lot longer than I have, but you touched on it right there, and we touched on it a little bit earlier about this 50-year-old still and how they're revamping everything for the public.
Right.
We've got to face it. The bourbon industry right now, whiskey distillate, I had to say that word so somebody could drink. It is becoming more of a touristy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're making money off of these tours, everyone but Buffalo Trace, apparently, because theirs is still free.
They're still figuring out a way to make some money off of that, though.
Oh, absolutely.
They get the people there.
Absolutely.
There's a treasure trove at the end of that rainbow, man.
Absolutely.
There's money that comes to that place every day.
But that is the thing. That is something that is trending.
Yeah.
And Jim Beam didn't have that at that facility. Next year they will have. And
yeah, I think that it's an exciting time, and I think bourbon tourism is really the thing that solidifies everything, because you become very invested. You go visit a brand, and if they're doing a good job and you have a good time, you are a fan of that brand from that point forward. And so bourbon tourism is something that will really ensure. And I think that the distilleries are doing a great job of it. And I think they're going to continue to make it even better and better, knowing how important it is these days. So I'm very excited about that.
And not only the heritage brands, the big guys, but just like our friends over at Old Glory. I don't know if you've ever been to Old Glory, but it's
certainly.
a beautiful facility. They've got the restaurant there. They've got the grounds, where they can have events and all that. And that's kind of the trend that a lot of these smaller craft distillers, I know Nobleton's does that as well. We had
just down the road, MB Roland's getting ready to do all that kind of stuff.
So that's definitely is something that is going to help when times are hard. And like you said, you go there, you have a good experience, you're going to become invested in that brand, and you're going to become loyal to it. So it all circles back around at some point,
Yep, I agree. So. Yeah.
I think
don't believe what you read out there. Just
don't believe the hype because if somebody says, "Well, this is what they really meant," that means that's a person's opinion,
right?
And they want to gloom and doom it, because a reporter never got to talk the next day unless he made it gloomy the day before, so the people would listen to him. But my point is. Hey, it's not all that bad. We're still going out, and we had a whole group going to a shop down in Jackson, Mississippi, and they had a drop, and there were 400 or 500 people there.
Wow!
That's
strong.
Nothing's gone bad. They didn't sell every bottle that they had, but again, they never did. They didn't before, you got certain things that you're not going to sell. You're not going to sell a Boss Hog bottle every day of the week. You're not going to sell a Weller Millennium every day of the week. But the majority of the other bottles that were out there, I think it presented people the ability to get things that they wouldn't have necessarily seen. So I think it's going to be fun. I think if you're going to get back to having where we're going to start seeing more of like the Antique 107. We talked about this before, having it at the distillery one day a week. I have a feeling Weller Foolproof will end up being there, once every other week. I think they'll have more of those type things going on because they're going to want to draw people in. It's tourism for them, and those are their two bigger bottles. They're gonna draw people in with it. But,
Buffalo Trace is doing as good a job as anybody out in the industry right now. They're just slaying it. I mean, you see those lines there every single day of people waiting in line to buy their products. It is actually pretty amazing. So
it's been
for the traveler.
Traveler's not.
He's not a fan of the Traveler.
I don't. Yeah, that's a weird one, right?
That's somebody in the marketing department going, I got a great idea.
I have a great idea. Let's get somebody who doesn't drink whiskey to sponsor this bottle.
Makes no sense to me. I don't understand how someone would even do that if they can't drink. That would not be a situation I'd want to put myself in. They make plenty of money. I think Chris Stapleton's probably doing just fine, but I guess there's always more money. But geez, to me, I would want to make money, but I'd never want to sell my soul. And that's kind of a selling thing.
Exactly.
That was kind of the thing where you did have a lot of celebrities that had gotten into the market. You had Long Branch was Matthew McConaughey. I don't know, but there were several before that. I think that may have been the straw that broke the camel's back on celebrity, whiskeys, bourbons, or what have you.
Right. Yeah, I think the number, and I've never seen a comprehensive list, but it's got to be over 100 celebrity brands.
No,
and it's so bad.
And how many would you want to have on your wall? I don't have any of them. I wanted on my wall.
Yeah.
Here, there's a question from Garm the Fierce. Wants to know what the next pick Steve has done, and is he excited to get into the shop, or what's the one thing that he really wants to get into the shop?
Okay, this one I know, and that's Randy. I know who that is. That's Randy. Garm is Randy. So he knows YouTube. It comes to the shop actually quite a bit. But what I'll say this, I'm white knuckling it right now. I have on Saturday, I have a festival. We've promoted that 2 barrel picks are going to be there. A Yellowstone barrel pick and a minor case rye. Been promoted throughout, and it's in St. Louis. It's sitting at the distributor's warehouse. Again, distributors tend not to like us because we don't deal with them. When I want to get whiskey, I go to the owners, or in this case, I go to somebody at Luxco, which is here in St. Louis. We never go to them and say, hey, could you help us get a barrel pick? We just get them, and then they have to deliver them. So right now, they're kind of dragging their feet. We don't have our barrel pick yet, despite the fact it's been there a week. I'm hoping it shows up. I mean, people are going to want to get it. And if it doesn't, then, there's worse things that can happen in our lives than have to wait an extra week to get our whiskey. But I don't want that to happen. So that's the ones I want to get. That's the most important thing right now, is getting those 2 picks in. So yeah, we'll see what happens. TBD right now. They told me on Friday. We'll see. So that's tomorrow. So
yeah, I hope they come through for you, because they can't afford the bad publicity as well, or I don't know. They don't seem to care. Sorry, it's distributors. I've realized I worked with some friends at Wine and Cheese Place back when I had retired, and I got to see the ugly side to that.
Yeah.
The way things were dropped and the thing, it just, they didn't care too much, there wasn't that, but again, they're going to care if they had more competition, but
can't get more competition. Would be excited about the one. I can't believe this is 2 barrels we're talking about. This is not, this is not a cheap invoice that I'm going to be getting when these 2 make it, and they don't get paid until I get it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think they'd want to deliver that whiskey? I know if I own the distributor, I'd be like, get the guy his whiskey. I want my money. So
yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
We've got another question from the comments. Adam Favre says, "Do you see the current state of bourbon affecting your access to single barrel picks?"
No, not at all. If anything, I'm more important than ever. If any, with this idea that the the bourbon market is shrinking, they want to talk to me, and I'm seeing this already. I'm seeing more people knocking on our door to get in, and I'm very selective. I have a reputation. I literally will not take any barrel pick unless I know I've been there. I've seen how they make the whiskey. I want to know the process. I want to know the equipment they're using. I want to know who's making it, what's their experience. I want to know all those things, because all barrel picks aren't equal to me. There's good ones and there's bad ones, and I don't want to bring one that's bad in. The worst meeting I ever had was I told a guy, who happened to be a Missouri-based distillery, and I'm not going to say who it is, but it's not one of the ones that you see in the shop, because we would never have this in the shop. But I told the guy, I said, I just wanted to get him out of there. I'm like, nah, we're not interested. And they kept asking, why wouldn't you? I want to sell a barrel, why wouldn't you buy my whiskey? And I said, finally, it's not good enough to be in here. And you know what he said to me? He's like, don't worry, I get it. Just put it on there, made locally, and they're going to buy it anyway. And I was like, that's the wrong answer. Get out of my store. Get out of my store. I have a reputation. If someone buys that and it tastes terrible, what do they think about my palate than the whiskey I'm bringing? That damages
that's your store. That is,
Yeah.
Every time I'm always proud of everything you have in there, and that's what I appreciate.
Yeah.
So that brings me to my question then about it. So if you're barrel picking mostly small distilleries, like I know if you go do a Knob Creek barrel pick, you might say, well, I want something that's a little off profile or a little different than the normal Knob Creek. So what are you looking for when you do a barrel pick from a small distillery that a lot of people maybe don't know?
Right. So that's the secret sauce, right? I mean, what are we doing that's different? So I'm asking all these distilleries what are they doing. What am I doing that's different? And I tell you, we have a very different process, because again, I know these people. I stay at their houses. I every barrel pick that's ever come through that store, I know the story of it. I know the people behind the brand. And so I bring it in, and when I go to do a pick, guess how it works? Like if you're just a store, there's a store, right by us, and they can be going to do a barrel pick if they don't actually go to the distilleries, but if they did, they would roll out 3 barrels and say, okay, here's your 3, taste them, tell us which one you want to buy. And that's the process. When I go there, it's different. I'm like, what are your favorite picks? let's go, let's get a drill, and we got the barrels here. Let's go to your favorite. What are your favorite barrels in here? Because any distiller that's worth his salt is going to know he's going to have favorite barrels, and that's the ones I'm picking from. So right away, we're different the moment we walk in the door, and and when I taste it, you know what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for what tastes best. I'm not looking for anything. I never want to know anything about it. I don't want to know the age, what type of whiskey. I don't care if it's rye or bourbon or American single malt, whatever it is. Just let me taste the whiskeys, and I'll pick based on what I think tastes the best that day, and that's what we're going to bring in. And that's always worked for me, and that's always how we're going to do it. It's just we're not going to change.
So it's the ultimate
I've done
wine.
over 800 barrel picks, by the way.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that, guys.
Done a few of these.
He's done a few.
So
And it's
Steve,
amazing.
I've never been up there. Is that all you do is barrel picks?
Yes, but there are exceptions, right? So I told you that I do have good friends in the business. It would be pretty hurtful if I'd be like, I'm not going to carry your other stuff. I only do barrel picks. So I carry full lines of a couple distilleries that I'm good friends with, like Royce Neely of Neely Family Distillery, or Jason Bronner of Buzzard's Roost. And there's a couple other in there too, where I carry things of theirs. Demetrius, I carry all of his stuff. Demetrius Kane of Nobleton's. I carry all of their stuff because they're friends, and I want to do that. And then from time to time, we'll get in different things that aren't barrel picks. And we even created we have a bottled and bond section, so that's not our barrel picks. So that's for just when someone comes in, they see we're a liquor store, and they're like, I just need a cheap bottle of bourbon to make a cocktail. Well, we've got some great selections over in the bottle and bond section. Things I'm proud about selling. Everything sticks. It's got to be that. And then we also have a section. It's a top shelf because, and again, this isn't anything we thought about when we started the store. But as you become a good reputation and people review your store, you go up in the rankings. So suddenly, if they're Googling, I'm looking for a gift for my boss, a bourbon gift, where should I go? Our place pops up, and they come in, and many times they're buying as a department. So it's not, hey, I'm buying this for my boss, I need to get a good $75 bottle. It's like, hey, we need a $400 bottle or $600 bottle or $800 bottle. So we have some of that stuff too. That isn't our barrel picks, but there's a reason for that. They're coming in just because they want to make sure that they're getting something very elite and exclusive. So we try to get those type of things when we can. So, yeah.
Cool. Hey guys, I just need to interrupt here. I'm visiting here. I wasn't even supposed to be on. We got through with dinner early. I popped on. Steve, I'm going to drop out of here, but it was good to meet you. I mean, Colonel, good to meet you.
Thank
you. Roger, Will, y'all guys hold this guy to the fire here now.
Yeah.
We'll do the best we can.
Thanks for coming on, and everybody out there, I will see you guys next week.
We'll see you, Santa.
Bye.
See you, Craig.
All right.
So, yeah, and I think where I was going with the next part of this is to talk a little bit. You also have another space next to you that you utilize as well.
Yes.
Which I found interesting. That you started that within the last year or so, or 2 years.
Yeah. So we acquired that place over 2 years ago, and again, my business partner is the guy who built everything out, and he was starting to have some health problems. And he had issues getting it done. He was beginning to have issues where he couldn't work like he was used to working, and we didn't get it open while he was alive. It was very unfortunate because he passed away thinking that's the dumbest thing that we ever did. We signed that lease to create this thing, and we were never able to get it open with him. What happened was, and again, I can't fix anything. I can't build anything. I can't fix anything. I just don't have that ability. I have a different set of skills, but not that. Our customers came in. There was 3 of our customers that came in, worked nights and weekends, and finished everything and got it open. We got to pass inspections when you have a business, so it got it open, and it ends up being the best thing for us. It really, literally made our business. I mean, we've got this festival I talked about that'll be on Saturday, and that occurs at that event center right next to us. So it really changes our business, and it gives us flexibility. We can have all kinds of events over there. We have a club that meets over there for about 6 times a month for different things, different events and things. And then sometimes it's just storage. My store is very small. It's only 1,000 square feet. So when you got 1,000 square feet and you're getting whiskey in by the barrel, sometimes you need a little extra storage. So we supplement what we have with that location. So, yeah.
And I remember right before Christmas, you had a couple other vendors, people that came in, and you did like a
So
Yeah.
it's a that was the second year we did it. It's a yearly tradition at this point. It's called the Bourbon Artisan Festival. It's the first Saturday in November. Kind of kicks off the holiday shopping season, and we invite people that utilize bourbon to create some sort of art. It can be food. It can be cookies made with bourbon or barbecue sauce. We've had a bunch of different candies, all kinds of stuff, and then also things that are like bourbon barrels. There's so many crafts you can make with bourbon barrels, or even bourbon bottles. You see candles or ashtrays, all that kind of stuff. So it's
Mhm.
people who do things with bourbon or offshoots from the world of bourbon, and it's been great. People enjoy it. It ends up being, even though we only get about 200 people, because that's what we can get in. We do 4 sessions with 50 people because that's all we have space for. We can't just open it up and there's 300 people show up. We don't have room for them. We get into fire code issues, but we can get 50 in there comfortably. And we do the event 4 times, so basically 4 different sessions in a day. And it ends up being, many of those vendors report that it's their best festival of the year. So it's crazy to think about a 200-person festival. They might go to festivals with 6,000 people, but how many of those people
Huh.
are buyers? Everybody who walks in
Yeah.
that door is a buyer at our festival. So you're batting 1,000 with people who are actually buying things. They're not just looky-loos, or they might not be just interested in your product. They are predisposed to be interested in your products because they're bourbon fans. So
Yeah.
Nice.
I was planning to be up there that weekend and had a change of plans with some things. I was really disappointed because it looked like it was going to be a fun
mark
day.
down November 7th. That's when it'll be in 2026. So yeah.
Perfect. There we go.
Hey,
Yep.
Roger, we've got another question from the comments from Garden the Fierce. There's a few comments up. I missed it. There you go. Steve, do you have one bottle in your own selection that you consider thinking, I'm not sure what we're consider drinking whiskey and reluctant to sip on, or all your bottles fair game?
Oh, all of my bottles are fair game. I do have a couple that I'm saving, some really special stuff. I still have an Al Young, from Four Roses. I've got one of those. I've got one more Booker's Rye. Those are kind of the two. Again, at some point, I'm going to drink those. I just don't know when. It's waiting for a special moment, a big monumental thing, and at some point, I wanted to get it, and I want to share it with friends. So yeah, at some point, that's going to happen. But so they're kind of off limits for now, but that's not going to be forever. I don't just save whiskey or anything like that. So eventually, it'll get popped. So.
And I know it's hard being in a store and having all the different brands, but is there something that you have in a collection that you would consider your favorite bourbon, something that you always keep around and always have available for you?
I mean, I don't know. If I had
Or
to say
rye, I should say.
it's I always say my favorite bourbon is actually my collection. It got as high as like 1,700 bottles. I've started to pare that down some. It gets to be too much. So I've been giving away some stuff and things like that. And we're going to get ready to do some charity stuff, and I'm going to be putting some of my bottles in some charity events and things like that, because it just gets to be far too much. It's more than I could ever drink if I never bought another bottle. So really, the true thing is my collection. To me, the greatest bourbon, the king of bourbons, if you will, is George T. Stagg from the BTAC collection. I mean, I haven't been able to buy a bottle of it in years, but when I could buy it, that would be the one that I would always buy. And it just hits the perfect mark for me. It's well aged, it's high proof, it's flavorful. It really is. It hits everything. But that's kind of a ridiculous answer because it doesn't help people because they can't go out and get it. So
Yeah.
I think something like a Nobleton's or an Old Monroe or Royce Neely Family Distillery, their things are great, and it's part of a bourbon journey. Drinking those things and seeing what the nuances of different by barrel, and so ultimately, while I say George T. Stagg's my favorite, it's going to be one that I drink very infrequently, and it's going to be more likely something from like one of those guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's where I lead to. I kind of bounce between different things. My new thing that jumped into this last few weeks or month or two has been JT Mellick with the rice whiskey,
Mm-hmm.
because it's such a different profile, than what I'm used to having before. And we wanted to have him on the show, and we couldn't find bottles here locally. And I found out distributor had them. The stores weren't ordering. So I started talking to a few stores, and hey, they got them in stock, and hopefully keep it moving around. But it is when you find something different, interesting to change your profile from what you have, because you can get stale. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
Yeah.
Drinking
Yeah.
the same old thing every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for me lately, it's been the whiskey thief stuff that we picked up while we were at the distillery.
Okay. Yeah, that's a
and
great place to go. Lots of fun there.
yeah, a
And
whole had a
we met.
blast there.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Roger.
We met the master distiller, Lisa Roper Wicker, and
Yeah. Yeah.
had a
She's a good
we've
friend of
had
mine. She plays
yeah,
cards.
we've had her on the show. She mentioned it. She mentioned it when we were talking about the
Yeah.
show. So,
She's a good friend.
but she is such a good person, and it's kind of fun to have, when you go there and you get introduced to those folks and everybody talks and they explain everything. And, she's willing to talk to anybody as long
Yeah.
as we sat down at the time because she messed up her leg. So, but she was a blast. I mean, that was those
She's
were some of the
amazing.
fun times.
She's one of our great distillers in America, really. I mean, if we had to rank them, she's going to be pretty high up there. She's
Yeah.
got a great experience and maybe a little bit of a sleeper. I mean, you guys know them, and you're doing things in the industry. You go into a liquor store and say, "Hey, who's Lisa Wicker?" They probably don't know who she is, and that's unfortunate.
Don't have a clue.
They should know who she is because she's really good at what she does.
Yeah, definitely. We met her idol there was the gentleman who used to run Woodford.
Chris Morris?
No, he lives in Louisville. He still does it. He works for a couple of I'll remember after the show. You know how that goes.
Woodford,
But
yeah.
we're gonna have him. We're gonna try to get him on in April February or March, and he was retired from Woodford. He helped build their facility.
Kevin
and
something? Kevin?
William.
I'm not sure.
I'll kill it if I don't forget it. But
I don't
anyway,
remember names. I don't even remember my own name. That's why it's on the screen below my photo, so I know who I am.
But no, it was those. There's just so many people we met throughout our trip. We went in November and ran around and had a blast, and it was just everybody was so accommodating and nice. Anywhere from the people that worked at the tasting rooms to the people that worked, did the main PR for the whole distillery. And I was surprised a couple of people, the knowledge they had, people kind of ignore it. And we had one of the young lady on here on our show from Heaven Hill. She's a tour guide, otherwise known as the Bourbon Barbie is what we're referred to as. But she came on our show and just the story she has and the interesting and seeing, the point of view of learning about the different things. And we talked about Heaven Hill has a brand new facility that is designed just for bourbon tourism.
Yep.
And that's the key to the game right now. I think the other part of it is social media, which we have been peppering the page occasionally here and there with your social media pages. I know one of the things tonight we're in competition with is one of the NCAA playoff games.
Okay.
But so what'll probably end up happening is we'll get clicks on our show tomorrow or the next day because they wanted to.
Yeah.
You want to watch the game? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've been throwing your Bourbon Sasquatch YouTube channel out there, and I've been throwing the ABV website for your store out there.
Thank you,
Roger. We've got another question in the comments here from Adam Favre. Are there any places, Steve, that you've always wanted to do a pick that you haven't been able to get one from yet?
I mean, actually, no. I mean, I think I've been able to get everything that I've ever wanted to pick. Really, I don't know that there's any holes in the resume there. Between what I used to do at Total Wine, and I would help them out with their barrel picks when my buddy Jim worked there. He was in charge of all the barrel picks for the St. Louis area, so we got to do a lot of cool ones there. I did recently just get to do one that was kind of a bucket list thing. I'd never done a Buffalo Trace one at Buffalo Trace. I had done always by the kit and again, I don't get them from my store, but we had one of our customers win through the Barrel Select program. Actually won the chance to get a barrel. They're running it through us, so we got to go do the pick on site, which that was kind of one of those last items, bucket list items that I really wanted to do, and it's happened. Again, that's relatively recently too. That happened December 18th, so it was not ancient history there. So But yeah, I don't know that there's any other ones that I haven't gotten that I want to get, but we'll see.
I think everybody in our group would love to get in that barrel select at least one time, just to
That
see
would be
the
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
saving up all those points for all these years and
right.
doing all this. And
I will
I've been
say this. I'll
involved.
throw you guys a bone here. My dream barrel, and it's only because they don't sell it. My dream barrel is David Nicholson 1843. Just a value
oh,
bourbon, but it's so tied to St. Louis. That is a St. Louis institution. That's where the brand started. That's where David Nicholson himself is from. He's a St. Louis guy. The brand is named after him. And I always like to say my parents, again, I grew up in a bourbon family. My mom had a recipe book. And in that recipe book, it would say, orange wedge, 2 ounces, David Nicholson, 1843. Not 2 ounces of bourbon or 1.5 ounces of bourbon in the recipes. It was always David Nicholson, 1843. So I have a great family tie to that. And I've been trying for years to work with my buddy Dustin over at Luxco to get me in to be doing those picks. He's like, they just won't do one. So if they ever do one, supposedly I'm on the list, but we'll see. We'll see.
yeah, that would be nice.
What?
I still remember my very first Dusty bottle was a David Nicholson
Yeah.
1843. And
The
I
right old
believe
Whiskeys
the
of
juice in
Weller.
it was from what I found out
Stetzel Weller.
now, which I didn't at the time, I didn't know what it was. It was Stetzel Weller. That was when they had that juice in it. But again, you're right. It does have a tie to St. Louis. We used to carry it at the store, where I worked at in St. Louis because of the tie to it. And there's still a lot of people that remember that and
Yeah.
would buy it just because of that.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've been involved with 2 barrel picks, right? So I got to do the local store. He sent out a message on Facebook, said, "Hey, if anybody's available, come by. We're going to do a barrel pick. 3 Knob Creek samples," and we picked a barrel, right? And then Roger and I went to Indianapolis to Backbone, and we got the warehouse tour where you go and drill barrels and stuff like that. And we've been friends ever since. We didn't know each other before that pick. So as you've gone through all these picks, talk about the experience and meeting people and those connections that you make through those barrel picks.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
I mean, it kind of works reverse for me in that most of it's connections that I make. How do I make the connections that lead me to get the barrel picks versus being on the barrel picks and getting the connections? But and I always find, just things in a casual environment is the way that I like to meet people. I mean, going in their distillery and being like, hey, can we work together? Can I do a barrel pick here? I don't work that way. I tend to do things a little bit more subtle than that. So we do a couple things. Like I play cards. I got a regular card game that we play, and every time I go to Louisville, we get together. It's all people from the bourbon industry, so you get a lot of friends, and then they invite more friends, and then pretty soon you're kind of everyone at some point is playing in that card game, and it's a great opportunity to say, hey, we're having some fun here. What can we do to work together? So that works. And then I also do a trip to Key West every year, and a lot of people from the bourbon industry have come down to that, which is, again, very casual environment, laid back. We do some business stuff while we're there, but for the most part, we get to enjoy the fun of Key West in January when it's pretty cold back home. So that's just a couple of casual things that I like to do that get you in with the right people that can help you out in this business. So, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, don't you take some of your customers down to and lead tours down to Bardstown and Bourbon, the River Trail?
Yeah. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff. So I have the ABV Barrel Shop is what mostly we talked about today, but in reality, the ABV network, which is my media company, that's really what drives most of my business. Has got me the contacts through the years was that media company. And then right at COVID, I had started an events company that didn't work out for a couple of years. I had to take a couple of years off, but got back to it. And we do a lot of events and things like that. Our kind of flagship event now is an event I call Bourbon Palooza, where we do two of them right now. We do one in the spring, and so in March we go into Bardstown, and then in October we come to St. Louis. And what we do is we do a series of small events. So it's about in Bardstown, it's about 60 people. We take over a hotel, the Bardstown Motor Lodge, so everybody stays at one place. It's got a great courtyard where people can meet in the evenings, hang out, do a bottle share. And then during the day, I do 4 events in the morning and then 4 in the afternoon. And just by nature, people get to choose what events they're going to go to. They're going to have different experiences. They're all attending the same big event, Bourbon Palooza, but in reality, they have different experiences because they might go to one event in the morning and their friends are at a different event, and then maybe in the afternoon they happen to be at the same event, and then we get together in that courtyard again on Saturday night. We talk about what was everybody's experience today. And those are just really fun events, and so I'm in the middle of planning the March one right now, kind of really in deep on that one, and then once that gets done, I guess I'll start on October. So and then a lot
Sounds
of
like a blast.
stuff. Yeah.
We've been debating at the idea of doing that with some of the people from our group and things like that. And we had a larger group that went up last year, but it does get a little crazy with the logistics, getting everybody together and the hotel and all those fun things.
Yeah.
You're never going to find the perfect weekend.
You're not. But again, you guys aren't asking for my advice. But if I was going to give you advice, I would say the thing that you need to work on doing what you're doing is build your community, because those are going to be the people that support you. If you think, hey, I just want to conquer the world and everybody's going to love me, it's not going to, and it'll never happen like that. But in reality, if you can get a base of 3 or 4 or 500 people that really love what you're doing, and then there's the other ones that are on the fringe that might do some things from time to time. Next thing you know, you've got something that works and is pretty special. And that's kind of what I've focused on, is building a community. And I see a lot of the same faces at all the events that we do. And it's great for them because they get to do some behind the scenes stuff. And I get to been able to make a living in this business for over a decade now, which is amazing to think about. I was a corporate guy. I didn't have a beard. I wore a suit, and I hated my life as a corporate guy. And I've been able to do this now for, like I said, for a decade plus, and it's been awesome. I enjoy what I do, so it's amazing.
And I think we have something else in common. I'm a SIUE graduate as well.
Yes. I have the least amount of degrees in my family for that. I have 1 degree from SIUE. My daughter has 2. She has her undergrad and her graduate, her MBA, and then my wife has her accounting degree as well as an MBA from SIUE. So they give me trouble about that, even though I was the first one to go there. I started all of that. My wife followed me over there. I was a year older than her, so I went after high school. I graduated high school. I went over to SIUE, lived there, and then when she graduated, she moved on and lived over there. And we've been dating through high school and stuff like that, and all the way till now. And then my daughter, to our amazement, when it was time for her to go to college, the only thing she even considered was SIUE. She knew that we love that place, and that's where she wanted to go. And now, if she ever has kids, they got to go there. It's not. I was fine with my daughter wherever she wanted to go, but if I have grandkids, they got to go to SIUE because we're SIUE.
Yeah. I'm an '87 graduate, so.
Okay. I graduated in 1990 from there. Yeah. So actually, 1989, I like to say, because I did graduate in 3.5 years. So I stuck around an extra semester to try to get my MBA from there, but it's a tough school. I went to an easier school after that to get mine. So again, my wife and daughter laugh about that because they got their MBAs from there. I didn't. So I tried.
I saw that on social media the other day, and I'm like, oh, there's another tie there. So
yeah. I love that. That is a beautiful campus. It's a great school. Can't say enough good things about that. And again, talk about a sleeper. Most people from St. Louis don't know anything about it, and we're right there, and most of us overlook it. Yeah.
Most of my, I can get into my history of my dad. Went to school there, got his teaching degree, and he'd always take him and my mom would take us to the Mississippi River Festival.
Yeah.
And most of the people don't even have any idea what those days were like. And it was crazy, because I'm as a kid.
DZ Top and all these great bands played at Mississippi River Festival. So.
And they said it was right there on the campus, and nobody knew it. And I'm like,
because they have the second biggest campus in the United States. It's crazy.
Sounds like we need to go on a road trip, Roger. I've never been up there, so.
Yeah.
Well, we will definitely do it. We can swing by and go to Steve's store and then head up to Edwardsville, and I can take you on all the spots where you're not supposed to go at the campus. And,
Right.
oh, I might still know a couple of the guys on the campus police
Yeah.
department. So
So did you live up there? In
yeah,
one
I
of the Tower
lived
Lake
in
apartments?
Edwardsville, downtown Edwardsville, and
Okay, I stayed on campus. I stayed at Tower Lake, so their apartments there, and we were there at the same time. Then, if you graduated in '87, I graduated high school in '86, so I started there in
yeah,
'86.
we were there. Yeah,
Yeah.
in fact, I was connecting today with Butch Moore,
Mm-hmm.
who used to play music at the Stagger Inn and the Stagger Inn again. He still does. And
Uh-huh.
he hosts their open mic night. And
Really?
he's actually going to be in the kind of that old Monroe County, Old Monroe. He's going to be down there playing on Sunday.
Oh, cool.
So it's a small world, you
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
but
Awesome.
yeah, I lived in downtown Edwardsville, right near the art school, in a big old house that was 4 stories, and I of course lived on the very top.
Okay, yeah. Best view in the place, right?
It was fun. It was a blast. But
Mm-hmm.
well, is there any questions you have for us or anything like that, and anything else you want to promote before we?
I mean, just follow us, abvnetwork.com, abvbarrelshop.com. Network.com has all of our content. So it's the podcast, it's the movies, all that kind of stuff is out there. The Barrel Shop, we do all kinds of events, festivals, and things like that. If you're into bourbon, definitely make sure it would be a crime if you didn't come by Arnold, Missouri at my St. Louis suburb barrel shop if you happen to be in the area. And we've got a lot of cool things too. St. Louis is a great bourbon destination. You can go to Still
Oh yeah,
630, Wood Hat, Nobleton's, Old Monroe, so there's some great places to go for sure.
yeah. We're definitely coming up to Nobleton's. He invited us up for dinner with some steaks, and we're like, okay, we're there.
Yeah,
And
that's some good stuff for sure.
yeah,
Just got to get the
we had,
logistics worked out. So I told him I'm free. When I'm free, just tell me I need to get vacation in. I'm ready to go.
All right.
Just
I'm
say
retired
when.
now, so I don't have those parameters around me. So.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But well, Steve, it's been fun. I really appreciate your time tonight. And again, if any of our folks are up in St. Louis and you need to know directions to it, let me know, or check on the links within the show tonight. And we are definitely looking forward to seeing you again in the future at different events and things like that. And if you're on here for the first time tonight, make sure you like and you comment and subscribe. Comment, let us know things that you want to see on our show going forward. I know we've got a group of our folks that are at they run a store up in Southern Indiana, and tonight they're doing a Buffalo Trace pick.
Okay, nice.
So they're kind of doing that in between, and so Mike Brock and the folks at Alex is over there, Mark P's over there, so there's a whole group. They're all running around there. So, but we appreciate your time tonight, and we thank everybody, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for being here.
For the stories we've told of barrels and bottles and whiskey gold, from grain to glass, through fire and flame, every pour's got a legend's name.